Hello students, welcome again to my classes, that is the Devian Cell Biology classes. Now in last video we talked about the transportation in animals. Now in this video we are going to talk about the transportation in plants, how the transportation occurs in plants. So whether the question comes in our mind that whether the transportation in plants is needed. Will there is a need for any transportation? Yes, of course. There is a need for transportation. Why there is a need for transportation? I am going to tell you. Now let us suppose this is the plant. Let us suppose this is the plant. There is a need for water. There is a need for various types of minerals for the growth of the plant. Now from where this water and minerals came to the plant? Of course, we already studied from the previous classes that they are absorbed by the roots. So these minerals like phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, these all the minerals which are necessary for nitrogen, some part of nitrogen also. So whatever the minerals which are needed for the plants, they are absorbed by the roots and they are supplied by the soil. From soil to the roots, from roots to the various different parts. So is there a need for transportation? Yes, of course. There is a need for transportation of H2O and minerals. Now again, the food which is the product of photosynthesis. The food which is the product of photosynthesis, the food which is synthesized in the leaves, this food is also there is a need for the food which is synthesized in the leaf to go in the various parts of the body to get utilized. So there is also a need for transportation for this food. So in 9th class, I am reminding you the previous class. In 9th class, in the chapter tissues, we already studied the plant tissues. And in the plant tissue, there is a portion which is known to be as complex tissues. So we have two type of complex tissue. The two type of tissues, the complex tissue, the xylem and phloem. So xylem and phloem, these are the two type of conducting tissues in the plants. Now in the 9th class, we know that the components of xylem and the components of phloem. I am just writing here for you. So xylem is having the four types of cells. The first is tracheids. The second is vessels. The third is xylem fiber. The fourth is xylem parenchyma. Here also the four types of cells or the four components of phloems are there. The first is sieve tubes. The second is companion cells. The third is phloem fibers, and last one phloem parenchyma. So these are the components of xylem and these are the components of phloem. So in board exam, I think in last 2 years in board exam, maybe the previous year only, the question is asked which part of the xylem. I am not remembering that one, but it's still there. That question is there in my mind. Which part of the xylem and which part of the phloem is basically responsible for the conduction? So in the xylem, the tracheids and vessels, they are responsible for the conduction, and in the phloem, the sieve tubes and the companion cells, these are responsible for the conduction. Now what conduction? What type of conduction? So xylem conducts water and minerals. Xylem conducts water and minerals, and phloem conducts food. And phloem conducts food. Now we are going to see the conduction in xylem as well as the conduction in phloem. How the water is conducted in the plant, and how the food is conducted in the plant. Now we are going to see. Before that, I just want to tell you one thing, that conduction in the xylem is unidirectional. Conduction in the xylem is unidirectional, and the conduction in the phloem is bidirectional. Now what does it mean? This is also the important question. But the question is, in the xylem, the conduction is unidirectional, but in the phloem the conduction is bidirectional. That means in a plant the conduction in the xylem is unidirectional. That means the water and the minerals goes in only one direction. But when we talk about the phloem, the conduction is bidirectional. So why we are saying it is a bidirectional? Because let us suppose there is a leaf and the food is synthesized here. Now the food can be used by the leaf itself, or it can be gone to some other place for its use, or may it gone to some other place for its storage, and when it is required, again it goes to the other part. So the movement is there. The movement is there in the various directions. So that is why we are saying the conduction in the phloem is bidirectional, but in the conduction in the xylem is unidirectional. Now we are going to see the conduction of water and minerals, or the conduction in xylem. We are going to see the conduction in xylem. The two things I am going to tell you. Now, the conduction in the xylem can be done in two ways. The first phenomenon which is involved here is the root pressure theory. The root pressure theory is involved here. Now the second phenomenon which is involved is transpiration pull. Now the root pressure theory, I am giving you a simple example. Now if you are watering the plant, the two things, just listen to me, the two things. One is watering the plants in garden, and second, sucking the cold drink from a straw. Second is sucking the cold drink from the straw, and the first one is watering the plants in the garden. So what is the difference between two? Now the main difference between two, now when we are watering the plant by the water house, then the water is pushed behind. The water is pushed from the behind with a force. But when we are sucking the cold drink from the cold drink bottle by the straw, we are applying a pull force. We are applying a force. We are pulling it. So the two phenomena working here. Now the first we are coming to the root pressure theory. Now let us let us suppose this is the plant. Let us suppose this is the plant, and I am just making the channels for the xylem. This is xylem, you can say. This is xylem. And suppose this is the root. This is the root and the xylem are. And these are the root hairs, you can say. These are the root hairs. Root hairs are also made up of xylem. Sorry, the root hairs are the epidermal cells. So these are the xylem. Now, let us suppose this is the root hairs. This is a single cell. Root hairs is a single cell. Now, this is there inside the soil. A lot more water is there. I am telling you the root pressure theory. Huh? The root pressure theory I am going to tell you. Now, what it is there in the root pressure theory? Now, these are the xylem. These are the xylem cells. Now, from the soil, the ions is getting absorbed in these cells. The ions were getting absorbed in these cells. The various ions can be absorbed. Actually, the two types of processes are there: the active process and the passive process. Active process involves energy, and passive process does not involve energy. You have to keep in mind the two processes, active and passive. Whenever the active process comes, it involves the energy, and when the passive came, it doesn't involve the energy. So actively the ions are absorbed in these cells. So what happens in the 9th class? We heard about the hypertonic condition, the isotonic condition, and the hypotonic condition. So when the concentration here is more, the concentration of ion here is more, then the amount of the water becomes less. So obviously the water moves from outside to inside in these cells. The movement of water is there from outside to inside in these cells. So in these cells, a high pressure area is created. Or in these cells, the high pressure is created. In these cells, the high pressure is created. And in the adjacent cell, there is a low pressure. In adjacent cell, there is a low pressure. So the movement is there. We already studied. The movement is there from the high pressure to the low pressure, which is known to be as diffusion. Diffusion we already studied in the 9th class. So diffusion of the water is there. Now again the same condition occurs, and the movement of the water is there. The movement of water is there. Now the root pressure when it works, or actually when it is there, the root pressure when it works, when the plant is small. When the plant is small, the root pressure works when the plant is so small, because diffusion can be done. It can be done in very short distances. Not for the long distances. The diffusion can be useful. So the diffusion is useful for the very short distances. Then for the long distances transport, for example, you can see the plants around you, the trees around you. The trees were so big, and there is another system which is known to be as the transpiration pull that I am going to talk about. But this is the root pressure theory. A pressure is created from the lower cells to the upper cells, and the movement of water is there. So this is what called the root pressure theory. Now, root pressure theory also works in night when the transpiration is not there. I'm just coming to that. Now, this is what the root pressure theory is. Now, the second part, or the second thing is the transpiration pull. Now, what we are studying? We are studying the transportation in plants, and in transportation we are studying the transport of water and minerals. So first, what we studied, the root pressure theory, and then transpiration pull. Now, a pull is created. Transpiration pull. A transpiration pull is a pull which is created by the transpiration. Now, transpiration is the loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant in the form of water vapors. So this is what called transpiration. And because of that transpiration, a pull is created. A long channels of water is made, which reaches to the up, and these channels were continuous. These channels were continuous. So there is no breakage in this channel. So a transpiration pull is created. A transpiration pull is created. For example, I'm just saying, let us say these are these atoms. These are these atoms, and this is the plant. The transpiration is the pull is created. Now here from here the transpiration is there. Now because of this a channel is created. Because of this a pull is created, and continuous channel of water is there. A continuous channel of water is created because of that pull, and that is known to be as transpiration pull. Just remember, sucking of cold drink with the straw. Now there is a continuous supply of cold drink when you are sucking it. The same principle occurs here. So the root pressure theory and the transpiration pull. Just go through your NCERT book. Just go through your NCERT book. Just read it and watch this video. Watch this thing. Now the second is the transport of food, or you can say the conduction of food, and it is done in phloem. It is done in phloem. Now this is little bit a complicated process. This is a little bit complicated process. Now what this process is, I'm just going to explain this. Now let us suppose this is the plant. Let us suppose this is the plant, and here the food is synthesized. And food is required here. Let us suppose the food is required. The food requirement area. This is the food requirement area. Now what happens? This is the food requirement area. Now what happens? Now when we see the food is synthesized here. Now the phloem contains the sieve tubes and companion cells. As I told you in the starting, the sieve tubes and the companion cells. So these two phloem, these two components of the phloem is responsible for the conduction of food. How it happens, I am just telling you. Now let us suppose this is the phloem. Now let us suppose these are the phloem. Now let us suppose these are the phloem. These cells. These are the phloem. These cells. These are the phloem. Now here the food is termed as sucrose. Here the food termed as sucrose. Now in your book also the food is termed as sucrose here. So I am explaining with this sucrose only. So by the active absorption, by the active process. Now active process in which ATP is used. That means the energy is used. And passive processes are those processes in which the energy does not use, energy does not consume. So actively this sucrose comes here. And here the solute concentration. Now what is solute and solvent? I told you in the 9th class. Let us say a glass of water and some salt. So glass of water, the water is the solvent and the salt which we are adding is the solute. Now here the sucrose is acting as a solute. So solute concentration becomes more here. If the solute concentration becomes more, then the xylem which is adjacent to this phloem This is the xylem which is having water. This is the xylem which is having water. This is the xylem which is having water. So much amount of water is there in the xylem. Through the osmosis, the xylem goes inside this tissue. The xylem goes inside this tissue. And here the high pressure area is created. And here the high pressure area or the high pressure is created. And in the adjacent cell, the low pressure is there. Here the high pressure, here the low pressure. From the high pressure, all the mixture comes to the low pressure area. Again this happens. Again it comes in this. Again it comes in this. Again it comes in this. Now when this all mixture reaches to the food site, to the food requirement site, here the food is required. Again by the use of ATP, the sucrose comes here. The sucrose comes here. And if the solute comes here, then the concentration of water becomes more here. अगर हम यहाँ से सॉल्यूट्स अलग हो गए पूरे, तो यहाँ पे कंसंट्रेशन वाटर का क्या हो गया, बहुत ज्यादा हो गया. And where this water goes? This water goes to the adjacent xylem. Is the xylem? Is all the xylem? So it goes to the adjacent xylem. The water goes again, and the cell remains the same, and cell becomes as it is when it is previously it is there. So this is the thing. This is a very simple thing. This is what transport of the food in the phloem. This is very simple procedure. I'm just repeating it. Now here the sucrose is there. By active process, by actively the sucrose comes to the cell of the phloem. When the concentration of sucrose becomes more here, the solute concentration becomes more here, the water from the adjacent xylem, goes inside the cell. This makes the high pressure inside the cell. This high pressure content shifted to the low pressure cell, and again it travels like that only, from high to low. And when the requirement area came, when the food requirement area came, again by the active transport, by use of ATP, the sucrose goes out from the cell. Inside the cell, only the water is left, and through the osmosis, again the water comes in these xylem. So this is how the conduction of food is there, and this whole process is known to be as translocation. And this whole process, the conduction of food, is known to be as translocation. So this is what I want to explain you in this topic. So if you won't understand anything, you please comment me below this video. You please comment me if you won't understand anything, and prepare the assignment, prepare the notes which I am going to give you later. Actually, prepare the assignment notes also. Notes I am not going to give you, but the assignment I am going to give you. Please complete this assignment. In my next video, we are going to see the excretory system. We are going to see the excretory system in humans also and in plants also. So up to right now, up to this part only. Thank you for watching.